Shalom, family. Shalom to all of you. I really, truly hope everybody is safe. You know, somebody had reached out to me this morning and they're in Texas and they were talking about how cold it was. And I realized this is really an important time for me to talk about how to get through the bitter cold, especially if you're in a situation where you may not have good heat in your house or heat at all because of the location you live in and how to get through that. Now, my uncle lives in Florida and he told me the heat is horrible in his house. And it periodically gets cold down there. Not that often, but sometimes it does. So he already prepared himself with, getting different space heaters for different rooms. And that's generally how they get through it. But you may be in a situation, because I heard millions of people in the South and Louisiana and Texas and all over the Southeast don't have power. Not the entire state, but some parts in the state don't have power. So we're going to talk about how to get through those moments when you have no power and it's cold and you are freezing even in your house. Some people were like, well, you're in the Northeast, so you're used to it. No, let me tell you something. This was even too much for us in the Northeast. Y'all don't realize we've been in the deep freeze since around the 4th or 5th of the month. We are going into a second full week of this. As of the 22nd, we're coming out of this deep freeze, but many of you, especially in the southern parts, you're not coming out of it, but we are. It's going to be moving away from us. And I'm glad, because it gets depressing after a while going through some deep freeze temperatures for weeks on end. It gets depressing. So after I heard that there's people without power, and you may be in the Southeast where you just don't have good heat, in the event, and I know it's not many of you, in the event, if you got a fireplace, you just gonna have to use the fireplace. If your fireplace is gas or wood burning, you should be able to use it even if the power is out, because gas is a separate thing. And if you have a gas stove, you'll still be able to use that during a power outage. But if you have absolutely nothing, you don't even have working electricity right now, the best thing for you to do is start layering yourself up in clothes. I'm dead serious. Layer yourself up, layer your children up, and put 2-3 hats on your head if you have to. You don't have another choice right now. You gotta layer up and try to contain as much of your body heat as possible. If you got thick comforters, if you got extra blankets, you just gonna have to if you got nothing else, get under that bed, get under lots of blankets and cover, layer yourself up. That's the best way to get through it. I'm dead serious. If you have nothing else, this is the best thing for you. Now I'm going to share my screen and show you another thing you should all get, whether you got power or not. You should always have this on hand. Let me share my screen. Ladies and gentlemen, give me a 1 if you can see my screen, because we're just going to go through a few tips that I have. And it's only because I have gone through power outages in the cold. I have experienced that before. So I can give you some good tips that I can share with the family. Thank you, family. Thank you. All right, let's go over here to Amazon. One thing you want to get in, I don't care what part of the country or world you're in, get a crank radio. I got like 6 of these things. I got one for every single person in my household. We all got a crank radio. What is the advantage? Number 1, the crank radio is also a flashlight. The crank radio, ladies and gentlemen, is also a cell phone charger. You don't need no plug or no power to use this. You just need to crank it to give it power, and you can use the radio, you can use the flashlight, you can use the charger on it. And if you don't want to crank and crank, just set it in the window. They all got solar panels on them. Let me click into this one. They all got solar panels on them, so you can set them in the window, ladies and gentlemen, and they will power up just from you setting it in the window, and it's getting, some kind of sunlight. Or you can crank it. And as you can see, it has a USB port. So the whole time you can keep your phones charged. You can listen to the radio, and you can also use the flashlight on it. If you don't have nothing else, get one of these, because it can charge your laptop, your cell phone, your tablets, so that you have some kind of way of communicating in the event that you have no power. So, you'll be able to still use your device, at least your phone. Trust me, I've had to resort to this a few times, especially when hurricanes come, or, I remember telling you guys I had to stay in a hotel because we went without power for so long during a heat wave before. This came in handy. It really did. So you want to think about getting this. If you got extra layers of blankets, get them on the bed. I know a lot of people don't like laying in bed all day, but if that's the only way you can keep yourself warm and without getting hypothermia, you do what you got to do. You got to make it through this. It's tough, but you do. That's why a lot of people die. They die of hypothermia in cold conditions, because a lot of them just don't think and don't realize there's a lot of things they can do. Now, another thing that you want to do if you're without power and it's been several hours, if it's in low temperatures, take advantage of the low temperatures. It's like a natural refrigerator. So if you got to get stuff out of your freezer and stuff out of your refrigerator, put it outside, because that's the way to save your food. You don't have to lose any of your food, especially in cold conditions. So if you got like an ice chest, put everything in there. You can even pick up some snow and pack snow in there, and you can keep your meats and your drinks and everything to keep it cold without you losing any food. If you don't have that, get a trash can, line the trash can with maybe 2 trash bags, and put all your food in there. Now, if you're concerned about animals, what you want to do is keep it near your door and put some large stones or bricks or cinder blocks on there so animals cannot get in there and get your stuff. And if you see them trying to do it, all you got to do is open the door and reach out and grab it and put it in the house. But try to use something where you can put it outside and save your food, because the cold, like I said, is a natural refrigerator. You don't have to worry about losing no food. It's way different than if a hurricane comes in the summer and you lose power. You're going to have to just go out and buy ice every day and pack that ice into some kind of ice chest. But in these kind of weathers, you don't even have to worry about ice to save your food. So that is another thing. If you got a garage to your house, that's even easier. Just take all your stuff, put it in a trash bag, and just put it on that cold concrete in your garage. Just setting everything on the floor will keep it frozen. Okay, especially if you got one of those garages that are not insulated, take advantage and just use your garage to keep your stuff cold. So just be careful. I love all of you. I don't want to lose not one single subscriber to this bitter cold that we're going through. So just take advantage. You really can make it through this. Yep. You can wrap towels around your feet. Absolutely. And you can put on extra socks if you have to. Okay. And you really can make it through this, y'all. Yeah, especially if you got a car in the garage, you can try to lift the door and just turn the car on and get in the heat that way. Absolutely. And your car can also charge up your cell phone, ladies and gentlemen. So if you don't have a crank radio or anything, use your cars. Turn them cars on, get the heat on, and charge up those cell phones. You don't want to be without any communication at all. You need to have some kind of communication just in case you need help or you need to reach out to loved ones that live around you to make sure they're okay. So you definitely want to keep that going if you're able to do so. You know, so you'll be okay, y'all. It is a treacherous thing that we're going through because like I said, we've gone through it for 2 full weeks now. It is absolutely insane. It like I know people think because we're in the cold, we're used to it. No, we are used to the cold, but not like this. Not like this. Most of last week, it was cold, freezing temperatures. And on top of that, we had heavy winds. Can you just imagine that? It was cold and 40 and 50-mile-an-hour wind. It was absolutely insane. No, we are not used to that. No. Hmm. Yeah, your car is definitely a good tool, for you to use. Like I said, if you got a gas stove, you're fine. Even if you don't have heat, you're okay because you can still prepare your own meals and everything with gas, with a gas stove. You'll be fine. But, this is the time when you come out of this to get yourself ready. So um if you don't have let's say you do have power, you can get some additional space heaters because I know my uncle, he told me when it gets bitterly cold where he is, he got one in the bedroom, one he runs in the kitchen, and one that he runs in his living room because that's really where they sit. It's a small house. They don't have no big family room or anything in there. So he has one in just the main areas of the house where they go. And he was even telling me when they get up in the morning, if it's real cold, they even set one of the space heaters in the bathroom for about a half hour before they go in there and take their shower. That way it heats up the entire room. So you're just going to have to come up with your own strategy that works. That's really what you're going to have to do. Oh, yeah. I mean, one thing, let me tell you, the cold will kill you just like the heat will. I know a lot of people believe the heat will kill more people. That's not necessarily true. The cold will kill you too. The cold will even kill your animals if you don't get them in the house on bitterly cold days like that. Even they will die. So you can't even keep your pets outside at this point. Yeah. Yeah. It's good to have that, you know. Long johns are great. Lizzie loves, you said a mouthful right there. Long johns are off the chart. I got a bunch of those. Yeah, you get them suckers on. They do work. They do work for real. I mean, sometimes you just got to do it. I've had to do those things before. Sometimes when we lose a couple of times when we lost power, because right after Sandy, it got cold. It got cold after Hurricane Sandy. We were lucky. We were only enduring the cold for about 2 days and we came back on. But I had neighbors around me that were without power for 3 straight weeks. They had no power, and it would be cold and I would look outside and I would see grills going, like people would have smoke going up in the air from grills, they had to use because they had nothing else. And for them 2 days, I was dressed from head to toe. I had like 2 pairs of socks on. I had my long johns on. I had on 2 pairs of sweatpants, 2 shirts, one long john, one regular sweatshirt. I had two hats on my head. Yes, I was not ashamed. And I stayed in the bed and I had two big comforters on the bed. And that's how I got through it. You may look crazy, but who the hell cares what you look like? You're in your own house. Look as crazy as you want. It's about keeping yourself from getting hypothermia. That's what it's all about. You do what you got to do. Yeah, I mean, I looked at Texas. Texas looked like New York. I was like, wow. Yeah, Texas, Alabama, Louisiana. Shoot, y'all look just like New York in the winter. I never saw it look, wow, that iced up and everything. It is crazy. And I was reading how parts of Houston didn't have power and El Paso, parts of that's over there by the Mexico border. They didn't have power. I mean, that's like crazy hearing that. It's absolutely crazy. Yeah, there's a lot of places, Hawkeyes 28 that don't, use electric power, electric heat and everything. Yeah, that is absolutely crazy. So when the power goes out, your heat goes out. But that's not the case if you have gas heat. If the power goes out, you still got heat. You may not have nothing else, but you still got like heat. You still got hot water, especially if your hot water is gas. That's what my water is. It's gas, so I can still even get hot water in a power outage. San Antonio don't have power. Anointed hands, yeah, yeah. And it's tough, especially if you're not used to it. You may not know what to do. That's a real good thing, Mr. Pirate Brain, that you got a neighbor and y'all look out for each other. That's really the way it really should be, you know. I tell you what, Houston is really a nice place. I was online a few months ago and I was looking at some of the houses down there. Some of them houses are just gorgeous in Houston. Very nice. Now, I don't know if I was looking at some black neighborhoods, but it may not have been black neighborhoods at all. But I was looking at some of the homes, and some of those homes down there are very nice. Oh, you've been out of power, Mr. Oh, wow, Mr. Pirate Brain. Austin's been without power for 2 years. Yeah. Yeah. And I saw how some locations were having rolling blackouts because so many people were on the grids trying to keep themselves warm. Yeah. We usually have the opposite way in the Northeast. So it would be a lot of people using the power grids during the heat waves in the summer, and they'll tell us to try to roll back, but sometimes you just can't. If it's like 100 degrees, how do you roll back what you're using? It's almost hard. It's impossible to do that. Yeah, no, I know Black First Queensland. Yeah, that was crazy watching them feuding and killing each other over snow. You know, it does. But you know what, y'all? Just get prepared because this may be the norm from now on. A lot of things are changing, especially here in America. This may not be one of those one and done things. You may see a repeat, and I can tell you firsthand, just from living through many polar vortexes in my lifetime. Sometimes this stuff will come even in April. I kid you not. We've had polar vortexes show up as late as April, and we would be in the deep freeze in April. It has happened a few times. It can come back multiple times, is what I'm telling you, in one winter. You may have this one, it'll go away for the next few weeks, and it will pop up again sometime in March. At least if you make it through this one, you can be better prepared when the next one comes. So, it's just some food for thought. So, everybody, I was not going to stay on here long. I just wanted to give you some tips because I did have some people reach out to me, and I realized, I was like, okay, some of these folks are not used to this. And, these are simple things, but sometimes when you're going through it, you're not really thinking about this kind of stuff, you know? But don't beat yourself up over what you might not have been prepared for. It's not like one of these things that has occurred a lot. So the name of the game is just to get through it without getting any hypothermia or, you know, and making sure your loved ones also know things that they can do. That's all. So everybody, please enjoy the rest of your day. Don't forget about my next live stream that's coming up in just a few hours. If you can be there, then that's a wonderful thing. So everybody, shalom.